So what is up, guys? With set 13 on the horizon coming next month in December, we have something to talk about, and that is Nubatama. Nubatama comes with 13 cards, okay? 13 cards that have to equal out 14, which means there is a triple rare missing from set 13, which we're going to refer to a fighting collection card later. But let's go over the cards and see what Nubatama is all about. If you're new to Vanguard, prepare to learn another new clan. So, Stealth Beast Kuroko. You Soul Blast 1. When the attack hits a Vanguard during the battle, this unit boosted. If you have a Nubatama Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 2 cards from your opponent's bind zone and put them into his or drop zone. So it looks like this clan's about binding your opponent. And what I mean by that is you're going to be binding cards from their hand, or you're going to be binding cards from the field, hopefully. There is a card like that, hopefully, when we get to it. If it exists, we'll see. But right now I'm liking this Stealth Beast. This doesn't go into your soul. This unit stays out unless it gets sniped. But this unit kind of causes you to force your opponent to lose cards during battle, during your turn in a sense, so you can get more plussing off. So I do like Kuroko. Stealth Rogue Shunitemaru is just an LB4. If you boost an LB4, you draw a card. No need of explanation. Stealth Fiend Mashiromen is definitely going to just be a 4-runner, but it gives 3,000 power to a random unit. Stealth Beast Majin Gakuru. So this unit is a PG. It's going to activate when at 5th damage before they can get the 6. Stealth Rogue of the Night, Sakura Fubiki. And then just a plain AK booster. Now this is an important unit. Tempest Stealth Rogue Fuki. You cannot must one, put this unit to your soul. If you have a Nubatama Vanguard and the number of cards in your opponent's hand is 3 or more, choose a card at random from your opponent's hand and bind it. So this is a random bind, so you can possibly hit a PG. And at the end of that turn, your opponent puts the card back in his hand. So this is good. This is when your opponent's at 3 cards. So you bind it, and there's going to be plenty of cards I'm about to show you in a sec that's going to make this look really good for just a stupid common. And it's your only kind of CB unit from the looks of it. So let's keep going. But this is a definite must. This is how you discard an opponent. If they're at 3 cards, you just bind it. And then if you did that, you Soul Blast this, and they lose that card anyway. So you legit pitch the card. That's great. This clan's already looking good enough as is in Zero's format. But like I said, I don't think that really needs a balance. That's just how their effect is. That's why there's Draw Turbo. Now you're going to pay the price. Stealth Dragon Kara G Fubiki, you count plus 1, gets an extra 1,000. Stealth Fiend Mizuho, this is when it builds boosts an LB4 unit. It becomes a 9k booster for that unit only, for the Vanguard. Very important unit right now, Stealth Beast Tamahagane. This is going to be 4 of, and it's a staple for Nubatama. When this unit is placed, if you have a Nubatama Vanguard, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, bind it face up, but return it to the hand. That's where the Soul Blasting takes place, where you actually just killed the unit anyways. So there's a lot to do with this. This guy's going to be 4 of. This cleans the field. This is legit an intercept sniper. So again, we now have more intercept snipers coming to 0. Except when this intercept snipes it, you can kill it with your 4-runner with the Soul Blasting. So that's going to be something. They still get to keep the unit. This can be bad in certain situations if you don't kill whatever you were trying to, like, you know, snipe. Like, you don't want to put a Nemane in the drop zone and then they get it back to do the effect again. Obviously, you want to kill Nemane as fast as possible. You don't want them to recycle Nemane. Even though Nemane's an intercept, we're sacking Nemane so he doesn't get a draw, or we're Soul Blasting for it, so on and so forth. So you gotta watch out for this play. You have to play smart when you play Tamahagane. Stealth Rogue of 1,000 Blaze, Ouroboros Sakura, 10k Vanilla. Stealth Dragon Kokujio, during your turn when your opponent's card is placed in her bind zone, this unit gets plus 2,000 power to the end of turn, so it becomes an 11k beat stick, which is nice. But not much use besides, no, there's some use since you're binding, it becomes 11k, so that is technically a good unit. If there was like a couple stands, I wouldn't run stands in this though. Definitely not for what we're about to go over in the rest of this video. Stealth Fiend Gozuo. When this unit attacks, you have a Nubatama Vanguard. This unit becomes 11k. So it'll become 11k when you place it when there's an LB4 unit. So this guy's name is Shuri Stealth Dragon Kunji Kirigango. This is a break ride that will be coming in the clan event. So let's go over them. When a Nubatama rides this unit, you get 10,000 power. Your opponent chooses 1 card, they get to choose, discard it. Your opponent chooses another card in the hand and binds it. And then at the end of the turn, your opponent gets all the cards back, but that's the whole point about the 4-runner. They don't get crap back. They're going to lose it regardless. And when this unit attacks, it gets plus 2,000 power if your opponent's hand is 3 or less. It's whatever. We won't worry about that. But this break ride's already good enough. You're sacking 2 cards from your opponent's hand that are possible PGs. If you sack their PGs and you're running a crit build, it's going to be nasty what this clan can do. Seriously. Shura Stealth Dragon, Kabuki Kongo. We got this close up here so you can actually get the read in. So what this card does is you counterblast 1. Then when this unit attacks Vanguard, may pay the cost. If you do, bind all of your opponent's rear guards face up. If the number of cards in your opponent's bind zone is 3 or more, this becomes like a 31k B stick. And then your opponent puts the bound cards into his or her hand, and so on and so forth. So we know that won't be happening unless your Forerunner's not there anymore. But it's how you kind of kill your opponents. Like, you don't really kill the opponent's field. You're legit putting cards back into their hand that you don't want to use. That's why this is a double rare. But again, this depends because this has to smack Vanguard. So there's that. So that's not really going to help you. So this ain't like the best break ride, but I think it's something we're going to be using in a sense where we just pitch 2 and kill their intercepts or something. That's as best I can see it, but I would definitely not break ride this unit because Stealth Fiend Dadaroshi, this is one of those LB4 units where this unit attacks the Vanguard, 5,000. When it's a rear guard, 2,000. And back to my because statement, this guy's going to be coming because it's a fighter collection card, and this is the other triple rare they have to put in the clan event. No ifs or buts. We already got Night Snow. Now we're going to get Yasakura Kongo. Sure, Stealth Track. And this is where the break ride is the biggest. This deck will only function if you have 4 of each, period. So how this guy works is you counterblast 1, choose 2 cards from your hand, and discard them. This unit gets plus 10,000 power, and if the number of cards in your opponent's hand is 4 or greater, choose 2 cards at random from your opponent's hand and bind them face down. And at the end of turn, they get them back. So how this works is with the break ride. If your opponent miraculously has 5 cards in hand, you're going to first do this guy's effect. You're going to ban random, then the break ride goes up by them discarding, and then they bind. That's how you're going to get the best bang for your buck. And then you have Tamaha binding another card, so your attacks will go through where your crit is going to matter in the end after you got that big push in the end, because you're going to be pushing pretty hard there, because they're not going to have a PG. And if you get that 3 damage through while this break ride happens, it's going to be nasty. There's a reason for this. This is nuts. Now reading this and now the break ride, you're sacking 4 freaking cards from their hand, depending, because they need to have 4 more cards from the looks of it. Yeah, they have to have 4 cards or greater. So if your opponent's trying to, like, they're trying to be like saving my hand for like having 5 cards or 6, that's going to depend, because you are going to be sniping a lot of those cards. So this is like a final turn push. The only way they really lose it if they are able to micromanage the PG randomness. If the random didn't get the PG, then yeah, you're screwed, because there are 5 cards, and as long as they have 1 PG, they could survive. But I do think this card's going to get a little bit of a buff to the extent of, since you're discarding 2 cards, you're possibly going to be drawing 2 cards back because of the twin drive check, and that's what Zero has been doing to compensate most of these discard effects for cards like this in general. So you'll be discarding 2 cards and then add the 2 cards back to your hand, so you draw 2, so you possibly get a PG in your hand for later. But I like this effect because this does limit your opponent. Even if your opponent's at 3 cards, he loses still. He's still losing bind potential, period. That's what's so crazy. He still has to go through that. Even at 3. If he has 3, it's an issue, because we have to get him to 4 somehow, and there's no way to get him to 4 unless he miraculously hits a draw trigger. When he has 3 cards, he hits a draw trigger. I'm like, all right, time for the combo play, because now he's about to lose every card in his hand. So that's where it would come in clutch. This is what I would say is a good counter to the draw turbo in a sense. If your opponent's building a field, they're trying to maintain intercepts, and then they only have 4 cards left, and you have your break ride and you're running a crit deck, you're obviously going to kill their entire hand for that turn. So that is your final push. They have nothing to block with. And as long as you cleared their field, Nubatama is going to be swinging for game on break ride every turn, most likely, if they can't micromanage a hand. And if the random hits 2 of their PGs. Bruh. Even if they have 1 PG, bruh, it's legit looking like game here. That's why we run crits, because the crits are going to hit possibly, because we possibly micromanage to bind those PGs. So that with the break ride makes more sense to me, and I do like Sure Stealth Dragon, Kujikara Kongo, because this is how you discard the 4. You activate him first, and then you activate Shura. Then your opponent has no cards in hand, which means no PG. So you're pushing for that final turn game, and that's a GG's right there. So those are pretty much the big important cards, actually. Besides Tamahagane, this card's great. This gives you that push. It's like, intercept? You thought? Now you have no intercept. This is stupid. This is why Nubatama will be great with crit triggers. You're getting rid of intercepts, period, with just Tamahagame. You don't have to worry about anything. That's nuts. And not only that, you still have units like this G1 freaking Fuki. If your opponent has 3 more cards, choose a card at random from your opponent's hand and bind it face down. You can counterblast 1. You can kill your opponent's hand every chance you get. There's ways around it. That's what makes it beautiful. And if they put their PG in the buy zone, guess what? You soul blast and you get rid of everything. That's what makes it good. Seriously, it's like amazing. I do like Nubatama so far. Starting out, Nubatama will look pretty strong. We'll see how if they even do any nerfs, but I'm pretty sure they're going to buff Shura Dragon, Yoshikari. The Break Ride's going to remain the same. Tamaha's definitely going to remain the same. Nothing's changing. Kujikari Gongo's definitely going to keep that effect. That is game enders right there. That's why it's a Break Ride. And freaking Yazakura Kongo is legit the best unit if your opponent's at 4 cards because they hit an accidental draw trigger. Now they lose their whole hand because they got a draw trigger. It's like you want them to get it so you could get the ultimate Break Ride crit for game. So yeah, there's that. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're excited for Nubatama next month in Japan. We'll be getting that in March of 2021 Global. So until then, guys, I will see y'all next time. Be good. Stay safe. And what a great way to predict set 13 in a sense. Peace out.